Welcome back. All right, news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet for your Friday, November the 14th. We'll start off at the top of the board, as this is normally how things work. And bad news for Montreal and Montreal fans. First off, the Habs have definitely seen a slide in their quality of play over the last, I would say, week or so. And now they're going to be without Newhook for some time. Dealing with a fractured ankle. He had surgery today. He's out for 4 months. And Caden Gooley, also, he had surgery yesterday for his injury, and he's out 8 to 10 weeks. So they're going to be without Gooley, who could be a top four defenseman. They're going to be without Newhook, who can be that second line center. This is definitely going to test the depth for Montreal. And as I said, at a time where it feels like their play has definitely slipped. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Montreal navigates that. Troy Stecher's on waivers for Edmonton today. Probably clears. I would think he may clear, but considering he's a veteran defenseman, there might be a team that looks at him and goes, he'd be good for number 7, and they pick him up. We'll see. Howard has been sent to the AHL. This is in anticipation of Zach Hyman making his return to the lineup for the Edmonton Oilers. So we'll see if Hyman's able to get Edmonton firing in all cylinders when he's back in the lineup. But that's definitely good news for the Oilers. Brad Marchand last night, of course, reaches 1,000 points with the Florida Panthers. Well, in his career. Most of those points being with Boston, but he's now with Florida, of course. And, yeah, it's great to see Marchand is still doing this. He's producing at more than a point per game right now for Florida. Kind of really, really strong numbers considering he's much older than a lot of the other players he's playing with. Matthew Kachchuck. So as we keep our eyes on the Kachchuck brothers, both of them being out hurt, Matthew Kachchuck could return to the ice over the next couple weeks, meaning get back to skating and everything. Considering that the timeline for Kachchuck was that he could be back in December, that would definitely match up that he would start skating around the end of November, and probably, I would think, be good to return around the middle of December. But it is Kachchuck, and when your name is Kachchuck, you might come back a little bit sooner than people expect. So once he's back on the ice, my guess is he ramps things up quickly, and he ends up back in their lineup soon enough. Shabbat is day-to-day still for Ottawa. He is doubtful to play tomorrow. So Ottawa, a team that has only one regulation loss in their last 10, will probably be asked to play again without Shabbat tomorrow. I think they'll be all right. Their Kachchuck, Brady Kachchuck, he skated with the team today at practice. So Brady Kachuk's obviously closer to return than Matthew, and we kind of knew that anyway. So Kachchuck being back at the team, back with the team in practice, great news for him and for the team. And so we'll see how long it takes before Brady Kachchuck is back in the lineup and what that does to Ottawa when he returns. Marco Rossi of the Minnesota Wild dealing with a lower body injury. He is to miss at least the next 2 weeks. What I like is it's officially listed as week to week, and I saw a report at least the next 2 weeks. There we go. Week to week almost always is 2 weeks or longer and results in them being put on injured reserve and all that fun stuff. Now, with him out of the lineup, it's seen as an opportunity, and Yurov is expected to be the guy who gets elevated in their lineup and gets that opportunity to play more minutes. Yurov is a talented forward, definitely got a lot of skill, and now he may get the opportunity to show it. Playing some more minutes while Rossi is out. And, of course, for Minnesota, every year we have a lot of injuries with Minnesota, so not really a huge surprise. David Kampf, his contract has been terminated by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Woll has been activated, so Akhtiamov has been sent back down to the American Hockey League. This is a Toronto team that has now lost 4 in a row. So Matthews being placed on IR, Cowan being recalled. There's a lot of moving parts with Toronto, and obviously the hope and the plan is that they can turn things around and win their first in 5 games tomorrow. But we'll see if that happens or it doesn't. Toronto's definitely had their struggles this year. And it's too bad because, like I said, like week and a half ago, it looked like they got it all figured out. They'd won some games. They look confident, and then it's all gone again. They've lost 4 in a row. Craig Berube saying this is not the time to panic. We'll see what my panic index has to say about that next week. I have a feeling the panic index might say now's a perfect time to panic because it's Toronto, and they're always not too far from the panic index as it is. It really depends on the market, but that is one that obviously with the amount of fans you have and just the overall way this team is built, If they're not a playoff team now, what do you do? Can you rebuild? I don't think so, but it does seem to be the answer that people will come up with if this team misses the playoffs. John Gibson, so he didn't finish the game last night for Detroit against Anaheim. He is seen as okay, so he could play this weekend for Detroit. Good news for the Wings because their goaltending, they've got a good solid tandem in Gibson and Talbot, so having both of them healthy is good news. I didn't think the goaltending was the reason that they were struggling when they were struggling, and definitely they got themselves back on track with that win over Anaheim, so having Gibson and Talbot both healthy is really important there. So we're still waiting on what the host cities are going to be for the World Cup. I think there's 6 that have put in their names as potential homes for World Cup games in 2028. The NHL could announce the 2028 World Cup hosts during the 2026 Olympics. I think that's the plan. Like I've said, the plan is to have the World Cup every second year, at least the in-between second year for Olympics. So Olympics 26, World Cup 28, Olympics 2030, and then 2032 you have another World Cup, and every 2 years and so forth. Which, as I've said, it does mean that some of that special feeling you get with the international hockey, it can be lost if there's too many tournaments too often. But hey, we'll see how everything goes. And so let me know your predictions on where they're going to put the games. My guess is Toronto, Edmonton would probably be front runners, and I haven't looked. And then in terms of international, no idea. Maybe Stockholm. Maybe Stockholm gets a game or two. So the NHL is going to probably announce the host cities, and we can discuss it then. That'll be in February. So come back in February, and we can have that discussion. Jim Rutherford talking to the media. Yeah, he's still allowed to talk to the media. Every time he talks to the media, Canuck fans get upset. It was, Quinn Hughes is leaving. Not much we can do about that. Yeah, everybody's fighting. I don't know. We tried to put it out. We sprayed everybody with a fire extinguisher. They still argued. It's just, obviously that didn't happen. But it does feel like every time he talks to the press, there's some kind of discussion. And of course, the Canucks are not rebuilding. I will probably be doing a video later on today talking about the Canucks. So stay tuned for that. But they're not rebuilding. There's never been any idea that they're going to rebuild. Rutherford says he has the allowance to rebuild if he wants to, but he does not want to. My guess is he was hired in part because he wouldn't have wanted to do a rebuild. I'm sure they did their due diligence before hiring Jim Rutherford, and the idea was we don't want to end up doing a rebuild, and Rutherford was probably perfectly fine with that. And of course, that's the whole discussion. What would fix Vancouver? So I could take on that kind of idea today, and we'll see how everything goes. Scott Wedgewood, this was announced yesterday after my News of the Day video went live yesterday, that he has signed a 1-year extension with Colorado, $2.5 million cap hit. Very reasonable, makes a lot of sense. Wedgewood and Blackwood have been both very good for a Colorado team that right now is the best in the NHL. So getting Wedgewood signed and not having to worry about an extension for him next summer makes sense. And again, that $2.5 million, he's earned that. It would have been higher if he was younger and if there was a perception he was going to be the starter going forward. But that's a healthy amount of money. I did not put on the board yesterday, and I apologize for this. Larry Brooks, of course, passed away. Good old Brooksy. We will not see Brooksy and John Tortorella having a discussion again. Larry Brooks, a very well-known hockey writer, and the outpouring of support that was shown yesterday on social media, really, really strong. And so my condolences to friends, family, coworkers of Larry Brooks. And it is tough then for another person to try to replace somebody in that market. And so I cannot imagine anybody trying to do the job of Larry Brooks and what he's been able to do for so very long. But yeah, there you go. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. It's greatly appreciated. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'm not going to be reviewing the Pittsburgh-Nashville game on its own. I'm not giving the Global Series its own video. I will include that review with the review of the games later on tonight. There aren't any really late games tonight anyway, so I think it's all right. But yeah, so that's something I'm going to be doing today. But I do think that maybe a video on the Canucks might be worthy of a discussion at this point in time. I don't think there's that many Canuck fans that are delusional to think that if they just do a couple of things, they're a cup contender. But maybe there are those in management who think that could happen. So I will have that discussion with all you fine people on the internet at that time. But let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.